Hare Krishna, we are just coming back in 2 minutes. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण ब्रो, humble obeisances.
आपको आवाज क्लियर आ रही है?
Yes ब्रो जी.
Okay. This one. Okay. Okay, so now we'll start. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So as we wanted to discuss on this Eureka moment, Krishna gave us a practical situation to realize it first and then come to the topic. So for past 5 minutes, we were doing Eureka moment here. And that's the reason we were not coming at 6 o'clock. So for 5 minutes before, we were not able to make ourselves live on YouTube. And our expert, he was trying his best possible. He tried 3-4 internet connections. He tried 3-4 logins altogether. And still, there was failure after failure. And then later, at last, suddenly we realized that we logged in Zoom with wrong ID. And that was the Eureka moment for us. And as soon as we corrected our login ID, we could make it live. So in short, I have given you what is called Eureka moments. And I have also given you the answer right now here. That we realized it, that our login ID was wrong. But the question arises that does Eureka moment comes suddenly in our life? Because by nature, the word Eureka is connected to something called very sudden. I hope most of you know, or from where this word Eureka it comes. Mhm. Just to tell you a very short story, because today our discussion is not go with Archimedes. Archimedes did his work long back and gave us topic. So there was a king who got a golden, what do you say, mukut ko kya कहते हैं? Crown, and he wanted to test whether his crown was really made out of gold or not. I was thinking 2020 का जो टेंशन है वो 300 BC में भी सेम था. People also had the same doubt कि कहीं किसी ने चीटिंग करके गोल्ड वाटर वाला तो गोल्ड क्राउन उसको नहीं दे दिया. So king called Archimedes. He said, find out whether this gold is the right gold and the equal amount of gold is there or not. Now Archimedes started thinking, what was the process of finding out that whether this is the right gold or not? So he thought, okay, let me have the equal weight of it. So how to do that? He was trying to find out this reasons, and he was taking his bath in the bathtub, and suddenly he jumped out of his bathtub, naked, no clothes, and he started shouting, Eureka, Eureka, Eureka. It's a Latin word which says, found out, found out, found out. And he started running through the streets. Of course, don't do this after hearing this class. You start running on the streets, naked. He started saying, Eureka, Eureka, I found out. What he found out is the clue that why something floats on the water. And that has some connection with that gold crown. So we'll not be getting into that. But in present also, everyone has their own way of finding Eureka moments in their life. So if we just want to understand it in a very simple way, then Eureka moment is something which we had given a tagline that, you are in a search of an answer of a question for a long time. And you try all your best possible ideas, and still it doesn't click to you. And suddenly one day it just clicks, right? And as if you just knew and it was not coming. So that particular moment in a language of psychology is called Eureka moments. So many people has got their own way of, as I said, finding out Eureka moments. Like one teacher asked a student, can you tell me what is that thing which you see in other and you do not feel envy out of it? Because generally, any possession you see in other, any quality you see in other, any success you see in other, any wealth you see in other, any beauty you see in other, and particularly I think most of you are sitting youths here. So if you see someone having the girlfriend and walking all around, you feel very envious of that person, right? Your face become curtailed. So the question was to the students, probably of a 20-year-old batch. The question was, what do you see in other which does not brings to you into envy? And everyone started, thinking, because more or less something which you always see in other which makes you envy, otherwise you will not be here. And then suddenly one boy, he raised his hand. He said, I have answer. Teacher said, Acha? He said, yes. He said, मोटापा and गंजापन, यही दो चीजें जो दूसरों को देख करके envy नहीं होती. When you say a youth who is completely bald, when you say a youth who is totally dummy, you don't feel envy out of it, and you feel just laughing on him, isn't it? In another situation, a teacher, he also asked a small student that छिपकली किसको कहते हैं? छिपकली किसको कहते हैं? अब सारे बच्चे अपना सर खुजलाने लग गए, छिपकली किसको कहते हैं? एक बच्चे ने हाथ उठाया, बोला सर मुझे पता है। टीचर ने बोला बताइए छिपकली किसको कहते हैं? उसने बोला छिपकली जो है वो गरीब मगरमच्छ की बच्ची है। गरीब मगरमच्छ की बच्ची? बोला हाँ, जिस मगरमच्छ को बचपन में बॉर्नवीटा नहीं मिला खाने के लिए, वो ऐसी दुबली पतली रह गई और मैल न्यूट्रिशन की शिकार हो गई, उस मगरमच्छ को छिपकली कहते हैं। दिस इज द यूरेका मोमेंट फॉर दैट स्टूडेंट, राइट? So different people, in a different way, they realize the things. Today we will be talking on this subject, Eureka of mind, Eureka of intelligence, and Eureka of soul. Right? We are not going to give you some research here that you look, suddenly I found now vaccine of corona. That's a Eureka of Dauji Kripa. Right? And I should also not keep on running on the road. Found out, found out, found out. But we'll be talking from Bhagavad Gita on this concept, Eureka of mind. So sitting all of you here, every day you keep on finding out or realizing something special for your life, right? And what to say of every day? Practically every hour you keep on realizing it. And as if you feel that I have found now the goal of my life, or this is that one. Right? Yesterday I was sitting with a 18-year-old boy, and this fellow was teaching me, that how to make business and all that. I asked him that, have you started studying? He said, no, I will be entering right now, because we've not started studying. And so I asked him, all these aspects? He said, yes, I have everything ready with me now. I said, did you implement it? He said, no, that's the only thing which is missing right now. Right. So mind is the one special thing with us which keep on giving us unlimited eurekas, unlimited. So in this world, two things are same, mind and wife. Right? Both have the same nature. No one can understand them. No one can understand them. Right? Student, again, see, teacher and student has a lot of jokes. Teacher asked a question to a student that, what are the two things which are same? And the student very easily said, sir, mind and wife. Our teacher was astonished. How did this student, he knows about wife, he has yet not got married. So he said, I understand you understand the nature of your mind, but how do you understand the nature of a wife? He said, sir, it's very easy. Every day my father keep on telling to my mother, मैं तुम्हें कभी नहीं समझ सकता. And every day in the school, you keep on telling me कि तेरे भेजे में कुछ नहीं घुसता. So ये दो चीज समान ही हुए ना sir, right? So mind and wife have the same nature. No one can understand that. In fact, you know how science works? Science works with observations. Then you have to get into experiments. And then you bring some results. So a scientist, he wanted to understand what is marriage, or what is the details of marriage life. So he collected a lot of informations, lot of observations. And when he started making data, analysis out of those data, his curve was totally a nonsense curve, which was not defined at all in statistics. Nothing was matching at all to each data was a different data altogether. Because you can only make a curve when you find some relationship. Some function has to exist. Y has to be a function of x, x has to be a function of z. Then you can extrapolate a curve, or you can draw a curve. But then when he saw the results of married life, each and every individual was totally a different, and it couldn't make a curve, plot a curve. Then he thought, okay, let me get into the experience altogether. I should get married. So he decided to get married. The observation failed. He got directly into experiment. And after marriage, for a long time, he didn't come to the institute. So then his professor called. He said, my dear scientist, where are you? And he said, I'm into experiment. He said, look, you are a scientist. And he said, after marriage, I have forgot what is called science. So he entered to understand marriage, but entering into the marriage, he forgot what is called science. The human natures are something, it's not very easy to understand. Why? Because when you deal with objects, they are just a matter, they don't react. But humans, on, on a very low level, basically, most of us, we keep on interacting with each other with the mind, with the three functionalities of the mind: thinking, feeling, and living, right? Based on these three things, our human relationships continues. And that's the reason it's very, very tough to understand this particular concept. One time, a sage, he was walking and he saw a king who was riding on a horse. The saint asked, dear king, where are you going? King just gave a wonderful smile. And he said, I don't know. Saint said, you are riding on the horse, you are going towards some direction, and you don't know where you're going. He said, no, I just don't know where I'm going. If you really want to know, ask my horse. And Saint immediately understood what the king is saying. You know what is this horse? This horse is the uncontrolled mind, which all of us we have. So where do we go? Where our mind takes us, that is our destination, right? So if one has to find out where he is leading, where he is going, he has to ask or he has to observe where his mind is wandering. I remember another story. One blind man, every day in the night, he would take a lantern. You know, understand a lantern? That लालटेन वो अपने शायद राष्ट्रीय जनता दल का भी वो है ना, लालू यादव जी का लालटेन. So every day he would take that lalten and go for evening walk. And people side by the road, they would observe him and would laugh that for a blind man, what is the meaning of a lalten? So one of them, they found their girds and comes to him and ask, my dear sir, you are a blind person. Why do you take this lantern every day and walk? He said, my dear sir, I don't take lantern for myself. I take lantern for others so that they should see me clearly and they should not hit me. This is the lantern of guidance. If we do not have this kind of guidance in our life, then people, situations, surrounding objects around us will keep on hitting us. And we, in the search of actual Eureka, will keep on making our accident with the faulty Eurekas. So to show the path or to show that light to those faulty Eureka that don't hit me, we need to keep always this one light with us, right? Now, the topic of mind is a very tedious one actually. If you see most of the spiritual classes, positive thinking courses, or what do you say, motivational speakers, they just keep on talking about mind. So why it is important so much to talk about this one small subject, which is called mind? Hmm? Because mind can make the life hell, and mind can make the life heaven. I was talking to one psychologist, and he was telling me that recently he happened to have a case. One young boy of 20-year-old, he came to him, and he said that I just want to commit suicide. I said, what happened to you that you want to commit suicide? You are still, just अभी तुम्हारी मूछें भी नहीं निकली है तो लाइफ का कौन सा ऐसा बैड एक्सपीरियंस हो गया कि you want to go out? He said, no. Whenever I see opposite sex, I just feel totally incontrollable. With conscious mind, I know it's totally a wrong thing. But in the spur of the moment, I just can't control. When I go in metros, then I'm disturbed. When I go in buses, then I'm disturbed, right? And I know I'm not the boy who should do these things. So for that reason, I want to commit. Now, committing suicide or finishing their life, is this the result? Not at all, right? Because by doing this, if we can finish our mind, then it's very good that do that. But suicide or death is only death or finishing of the gross body, but mind is a subtle body. It doesn't get destroyed at all, right? It is just like a business where you invest whatever property of the entire creation is there, but your business is going to be in loss. So who would like to go for such kind of business? That is called something suicide is actually. It's totally a loss, right? Human life is very important. One has to just understand the science of the human life in a proper way. And one, if understand the science of human life in a proper way, he can make the best use of this and he can really achieve amazing things in this world and beyond this world, right? Now, the point is, even from our side, or when we read some wonderful books, or when we join spiritual classes, or when we hear from some ganja sadhus, we suddenly, start thinking, कुछ तो करना है, कुछ करना है, अब हो गया, बहुत हो गया, right? So when we decide that कुछ तो करना है, basically we go through the 4 steps of the life. These 4 steps are helpless defeat. Second step is struggling defeat. Third step is struggling success. And the fourth step is effortless success. Now, we'll just go little by, this 4 steps because we have to really cover some more things. So the first step is that helpless defeat. Now, Arjun is speaking to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter. Chanchala hi manah Krishna pramati balabhadra. Krishna, my mind is terrible, very naughty, and very powerful together. Now, what is the called word naughty? Naughty means that personality whose action cannot be predicted in a very simple way. Like for a small child, he does not understand the difference between the water of a null and water coming out from him. He passes the water anywhere, right? So that's called naughty. Or else he will be passing by and suddenly he can do something which you would have not imagined, right? Similarly, there are many people, you just don't understand that, in the next moment, what they are going to do. Similarly, the mind is that what it's going to think in the next moment, we don't understand, right? Like right now, all of us, we are, hearing the class here. Now, probably since you are locked down in the class right now, may not be thinking too much. But then as soon as the class gets over, you don't know what is the next moment you are going to think and probably which particular video you are going to watch, right? That's the strength of the mind, Pramati Balabhadra. So with this kind of mind, a sincere student, he wants to become a good student. He tries that, I really want to control. And he tries for some time. He comes for, let's say, for example, you found that there's a 6-session course and you came with a lot of energy in the first session. Then the second session, you have a choice. Go for 6 o'clock Saturday class or go for 6 o'clock. Cinema halls khulne hi wale hain bas. The unlock down, fifth unlock down, something is happening now and halls are just getting open. So Saturday night with cinema hall or Saturday night with Dauji Kripa. There's a big conflict. And more or less 90% of us, we get defeated. प्रभु तो उधर ही बैठे रहते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, उनकी मूवी तो आती रहेगी. ये वाली पहले आज देख लेते हैं, right? And somehow other, we just go. See, this I just gave a small, simple example, but this is the example throughout our life we can watch, right? This is the struggle of determination here. Helpless defeat. We know we are going through a wrong thing. We know that our actions are wrong. We know that actually what I'm thinking is wrong, but still we succumb to that particular situation. And how do we understand that it's a helpless defeat? When after succumbing to the situation, we have a guilt feel. Because if you do not have a guilt feel, don't worry. You are not the student of this 4 states. वो बिंदास वाले लोग हैं, राइट? जैसे कहते हैं ना, 4 कैटेगरी ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं. एक जो सुनकर के समझ जाता है, दूसरा जो सुनता है थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस करता है, उसके बाद उसकी हाथ जलती है, वो समझ आता है बिल्कुल नहीं टच करना, बिल्कुल नहीं. फिर तीसरा वाला होता है, प्रोबेबली मेरा टच करने का तरीका गलत था, मैं इस बार तरीका चेंज करके टच करता हूं. और वो वैसे बार बार 2-4 तरीके टच कर करके वो देखता है, माय लॉर्ड तरीका में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ऑब्जेक्ट में ही बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी है, अब टच नहीं करूंगा. जैसे क्रिकेट के मैच में बॉलर जो है, खास करके ये फास्ट बॉलर्स बहुत करते हैं, हवा की नमी, पिच की नमी, हवा का डायरेक्शन सब इवैल्यूएट करते हैं, और वो बॉल करता है, 1 ओवर करता है, 2 ओवर करता है, लेकिन देखता है कि उसकी बॉल से विकेट निकल ही नहीं रहे. फिर वो डिसाइड करता है मैं अपना एंड चेंज करूंगा, अब पेविलियन एंड से करूंगा बॉलिंग. तो वो जाता है उस तरफ जाकर के, फिर उधर की हवा का डायरेक्शन, पिच की नमी, बॉल की नमी, पता नहीं कितनी नमी वो फिर से ट्राई मारता है, फिर 2-3 ओवर करता है, पहले चौके लग रहे थे अब छक्के लग जाते उसके. तो 4-5 ओवर करने के बाद डिसाइड करता है, समझ जाता है बॉल में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, नमी में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम क्या है, पिच ही सब बेकार है, इस पिच पे बॉल हो ही नहीं सकती. तो ये 3rd कैटेगरी का स्टूडेंट है, जो सुना तो बहुत था, एक्सपीरियंस किया उसने मल्टीपल टाइम, फिर वो सीख जाता है. फिर ये अंडरस्टैंड, लेट मी फॉरगेट अबाउट टेकिंग द विकेट्स, I should ball in such a way that only runs should not go extra. So he's a now self-realized bowler. But they are the last one. सुनता है, समझता भी है, एक्सपीरियंस भी करता है, जूम पे क्लास भी सुनता है इधर बैठ करके, और जूम क्लास खत्म होने के बाद करता वही है जो उसका मन कहता है ना? और उसमें हम सबकी कैटेगरी बहुत ज्यादा आ जाती है, 4th वाली, राइट? बट इस 4th वाली कैटेगरी लोगों का स्टैंडर्ड भी है. व्हाट इज द स्टैंडर्ड? कि हर बार गड़बड़ गड़बड़ करने का उन्होंने एक जैसे नेता लोग हर इलेक्शन के पहले वाउज लेते हैं कि इस बार मैं जनता की सेवा जरूर करूंगा, है ना? उसी प्रकार से हर स्टूडेंट फेल होने के बाद एक वाउ लेता है, अब अगली बार मिस्टेक नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन आकर के वापस वो फिर से वही करता है. तो एक वो स्टूडेंट जो कभी वाउज नहीं लेता और एक स्टूडेंट जो वाउज ले करके फेल होता है, उसमें अंतर सिर्फ क्या है? गिल्ट फील. वो बेचारा सोचता रहे, यार इतना सोचा था, फिर से फंस गया इसके चक्कर में, राइट? So this is called helpless defeat. What is the meaning of helpless? Helpless means that you are trying your best possible but your efforts are just not working. Around में कोई है नहीं. जैसे कभी कभी लोग लड़ाई, जब हमारे यूथ, जब हम लोग मतलब 15-20 साल जब कॉलेज के जमाने में थे, तो कभी कभी बच्चे लड़ लेते थे, और उसमें से लड़ने के बाद कभी कोई गली में पकड़ा गया तो उसकी बड़ी पिटाई होती थी. तो उधर उसका जान पहचान वाला कोई होता नहीं था, तो चारों तरफ देखता रहता था, लेकिन कोई उसको देख करके दुख की अनुभूति नहीं करता था, सब उसकी पिटाई करते रहते थे. इसको कहते हैं हेल्पलेस सिचुएशन. जब माइंड चारों तरफ से पिटाई करने लगे और आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, दैट इज कॉल्ड हेल्पलेस डिफीट. बट दिस इज द फर्स्ट स्टेज, राइट? If we continue going, understanding that no, I must go ahead because I understand the nature of my mind, I understand that where he's leading me, right? So with this commitment, a particular person further continues. So this commitment is called struggle, because now he has a desire and he has realization little bit. So this push and pull together, makes his life little bit struggling. कि क्या मैं सही में जो कर रहा हूं वो सही कर रहा हूं? अब ये प्रश्न उसके दोनों तरफ हो जाते हैं. When he does something wrong, that time also he start thinking, क्या मैं सही कर रहा हूं? And when he start leading a good life, pure life, that time also he raise question, क्या मैं सही कर रहा हूं? बाकी दुनिया तो बिल्कुल अलग अलग कर रही है. Like again, when you talk to the boys that you should not do intoxication, the very common answer, प्रभु सब करते हैं, right? प्रभु सब करते हैं, तो हम क्या एक अलग से, right? I remember another story here. Now where we are entering from here to, because struggle and defeat के आगे जाने के लिए आपको यूरेका ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस में एंटर करना पड़ेगा. So I remember one story. There was a elephant. He took a very nice bath in the pond, and elephant, they move very graciously. They take one step, then they keep another step, then they keep another step, and they have a very small tail which keep on hanging, and a little bit vibrates. They don't vibrate like a cow, dum, 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 very very gentle way, right? And then his head, big head, also very nicely like a says. He keeps on walking. So he was like very clean and walking by, and he had also his followers who were also side by side. They were walking. Suddenly, this elephant saw a pig. Now, both of them have a very opposite nature altogether. The elephant always goes for a fresh water, and a pig always look for a dirty water. So both had taken bath. Elephant took bath in his pond, and pig took bath in his pond, right? So now both of them were coming. So when the elephant saw this pig is coming, and pig when takes bath, it changes its color. I won't go detail in that. From black, it can become yellow and different kind of brown, and whatever color of the pond was. So the pig was passing by, and this elephant saw. So elephant stopped there and allowed the pig to walk. And this pig, with this little proud chest, started walking by. And then this pig gave a sarcastic smile on elephant. And other friends of this pig, he said, मानता हूं तुम्हारा दम है, तुमको देख करके हाथी भी रुक जाता है. बोला यस, यही तो मैं बताना चाहता था तुम लोगों को. So another side, big friends were really smiling, laughing, howling, joking, making fun of the elephant, passing sarcastic words. But this elephant, after the pig passed, he started passing by, right? Then the other friends of the pig asked, my dear brother, your body is 10 times or 20 times than this pig. Do you really feel fear of this pig? Are you really afraid of this pig? And for us, the most important aspect is that we were there with you, and still you feared. Then this saintly elephant, he turned and said, no, don't worry. I don't fear this pig at all. In fact, my one-time dung is sufficient enough for this pig, if I just pass on him. And what to say of if I just step on? Then the other curious elephant asked. So when this pig was making a sarcastic words and comments on you, why did you tolerate that? You should have given a good punch, yaar. हम सबके सब जीवन में होता है ना ऐसे, यूथ वाले कॉलेज में सब क्या क्या किया तूने, एक देना था ना. But this saintly pig was cool-headed pig. I'm sorry, elephant. He said, look, I thought once to give him. But did you watch? What was there on the body of the pig? Another one said, stool. He said, yes. So if I would have punched him, that particular stool would have come to my body. And thinking this, I just ignored him. So ignoring such kind of situation is much more tougher than reacting on that particular situation, right? And that's what leads you from struggling defeat to a struggling success. When you start ignoring those demands of the mind, because when you touch those objects which the mind is demanding, then the contamination is going to touch you. Bhagavad Gita says, what that sloka? Just I forgot, the sloka. That if you just go towards the object which is attracting you by saying that this object is the source of happiness, that very object becomes the source of distress in our life, right? So when we act like that saintly elephant, right? And when we are going to act like that saintly elephant, we are going to act like that saintly elephant when we have our inner values much more stronger than the external situations. When the external demanding situation or disturbing situation becomes weaker than our internal values, internal strength, then we can come to this particular level of struggling success. Because here struggle is less, success is now more, right? Please understand, we are still talking right now, mind and intelligence. We have not yet come to soul, right? So how do we come to this situation? So to come to this situation, one has to nourish his intelligence. Now, intelligence does not block the desire. Intelligence only upgrade the desire, or in a sense, what I mean to say is that intelligence give a discrimination of desire and needs. In this world, everyone wants the best for himself, right? Like a person, if you ask that कितने की salary आपको चाहिए? Everyone wants the biggest salary in his life, right? Like there was a person, his interviewer asked him that, okay, if we select you in our company, then what do you want? He said, it's a very easy thing. He said, बोलिए आप, क्योंकि आपका सारा इंटरव्यू का तो काम हो ही गया है, बस ये लास्ट वाला ही बचा था जो हम समझना चाहते थे. बोला सर ज्यादा कुछ नहीं, बस 7 अंकों की सैलरी दे दीजिए, 7 डिजिट सैलरी. अच्छा, नोट किया आपकी पॉइंट. बोला और क्या चाहिए? बोला सर 7 अंकों की सैलरी और उसमें 6 अंकों की बचत. 7 digits of salary and 6 digits of saving should be there. It means the rest of the facility also you please add. So 7 अंकों की सैलरी, 6 अंकों की बचत. बोला और क्या चाहिए? बोला सर अगर 5 बेडरूम का एक घर भी मिल जाए तो बस मस्ती मस्त है. बोला अच्छा, नोट किया. बोला और क्या चाहिए? बोला वो 4 पहियों वाली एक गाड़ी होती है. मैं तो ज्यादा कुछ चाहता नहीं सर, बस यही 7 6 5 4 करके है मेरे जीवन में. बोला अच्छा. बोला और क्या चाहिए? बोला सर वो महीने में तो 4 सप्ताह होते हैं, उसमें से 3 छुट्टी मिल जाए तो एक मैं पूरा दे दूं सर आपको. बोला अच्छी बात है, और क्या चाहिए? बोला सर और क्या जीवन में चाहिए सर, 2 प्यारे बच्चे भी मिल जाएं तो बस बिंदास जीवन चलती है. बोला बस और क्या चाहिए? बोला सर बस एक लास्ट इच्छा है भगवान से, एक गूंगी बीवी मिल जाए. 7 अंकों की सैलरी, 6 अंकों की बचत, 5 अंकों वाला बेडरूम, 4 अंकों वाली गाड़ी, 3 अंकों वाली छुट्टी, 2 अंकों वाला बच्चा, और एक जो जीवन में आती है वही सबसे ज्यादा तबाही मचाती है, उसको भगवान गूंगा बनाते। बस बस सर, और कुछ नहीं चाहिए जीवन में, और ना ही कुछ चाहिए जॉब में, राइट। सो डिजायर्स तो लोगों के जीवन में अनलिमिटेड होते हैं, और इतना मांगने के बाद भी बंदा क्या कहता है, बस और कुछ नहीं चाहिए, है ना। वो गाना भी सुना होगा आपने, बस इतना ही सा ख्वाब है, और उसमें ख्वाब में पता नहीं कितनी लिस्टिंग कर दी, राइट। उसी प्रकार से each of us here, we have our diary filled, and then we say बस इतना ही चाहिए और कुछ नहीं, right. So intelligence is that particular master who really decides or gives a guidance of a bus. Enough is enough, sir. Please stop it here, right? Else, otherwise, which desire is really good for us, which desire is really good for our life, is very, very tough to understand. Very, very tough to understand. No one can understand this. Like, and I can tell you one thing, through this joke again, I will make you understand how it's very tough to understand that desires are really good for us or not. So then one boy, he left his studies suddenly, and he started selling, or he started working in a sari shop. Sari, wo jo mataji log pehnti hai na sari. So his friend met him in evening, and he said, "What happened? Suddenly you left job?" He said, "Look, I can't study in a school where 5 teachers together, they differ in one subject." He said, "What? How can 5 teachers differ on one subject?" He said, "This is what happened today. And I can't study in such a school where for same common subject, 5 people have different opinion." He said, "Dear friend, please tell me what exactly you're talking about." He said, "Look, when I attended biology class today, there the professor, he was teaching cell, right? And he said cell means koshikaएं, नर्वस सिस्टम के अंदर होता है ना, बोले कोशिकाएं। मैं तो नोट किया मैंने, और बहुत अच्छे से रेड मार्क करके मैंने नोट किया उसको, सो दैट एग्जाम में जब आएंगी तो मैं लिखूंगा। मीन टाइम आवर नेक्स्ट क्लास वाज ऑफ फिजिक्स, and their professor came and he started teaching cell means battery. So the first teacher says cell means koshikaएं, the second teacher says cell means battery. I still tolerated. I understood one word can have 2 meanings, because I also make dual jokes. It's easy. It's okay. I understood it. But then the irony was, third class was of economics. And there the professor came and he said, sale means bikri. Now just tell me 3 people together differing on a same subject, how much I can tolerate. I tolerated, but I continued for the 4th class. And it was a class of history. And the history professor said, sale means jail. Isn't it enough? But look, my father has told me not to get disturbed. I continued. I had my patience, but it broke. It broke in the 5th class. He asked, what was the 5th class? He said, it was English class. He said, what the teacher taught you there of the cell? He said, cell means mobile. Now tell me how many cells I can remember. I can't do that. And then he said, it's okay that 5 teacher taught you 5 different meanings of cell. It's okay for me. And I still understand that you resign, you gave up the studies and you came, but why did you started working in a garment shop? He said, there only I realized what is the actual meaning of the sale. Because when sale is written on that particular shop, all the ladies goes there. He said, what does it mean? It means sale means discount. That is the perfect meaning, right? So different people can get thoroughly confused, or a person, our own self, we can thoroughly get confused with the thoughts, with the desires which comes to us. Now, what is the connection between this particular joke and this desire? You look here, the word was same. Only the person forgot that spellings were, different, right? So objects could be same, but utilization of the object on different people will have, is different. We do not have to copy other people in our life. The problem with our life is that we start copying other people to us, and for that reason, we have to copy objects of the other people in our own life. And for that reason, we are also totally very much confused for getting those objects in our life, right? Now, please understand, so many advertisements we see. For what purpose these advertisements are there? जब आपकी चड्डी फट जाती है, डू यू नीड एडवर्टीजमेंट टू सी दैट चड्डी कौन सी अच्छी है? आप खुद जाके मार्केट में नहीं परचेज कर सकते? किसी का कपड़ा फट जाता है तो क्या जब तक डेनिम का या फिर विमल का एड नहीं आएगा, जाकर के शर्ट परचेज नहीं करेगा? हाँ, यहाँ पे कुछ बच्चे बैठे हैं, उनका चश्मा दिख रहा है मुझे, अरे अगर चश्मा टूट गया तो क्या जब तक वो स्टाइलिश माता जी चश्मा लगा करके नहीं आएगी, आप चश्मे की दुकान में नहीं जाएंगे? So when needs are there, automatically people understand and they can go to the source. But then something desire is that which makes you monkey. We just keep on hovering like a monkey here and there, right? We just forget our value system. One time a monkey was sitting on the branch of a tree, and one fish, fish was swimming in the water, and it was very happy. Fish swimming in the water was very happy. But when you are happy in a perfect situation, now you don't understand the value of the situation. You always want to get some newer situation in the life. And why do you want to get the newer situation in the life? Because of advertisement. So this monkey, he was jumping up and down. And this fish from the lower water surface, he could see one object jumping here and there. So fish thought, मैं तो नहीं jump कर पा रही fish इधर, मैं सिर्फ swim कर पा रही. By the meantime, the monkey asked from the branch of the tree. He said, "My dear fish, how are you?" Fish said, "I'm quite well here." Monkey said, "But you don't touch this tree, right? And anyhow, how's your water?" Fish said, "Water is very wonderful." But to talk to the monkey, fish had to come out of the water. And within few moments, fish had the corona breathing problem. Fish understood that these branches of the tree could be very nice, but not for me. It's good for the monkey. For me, my water is very important. And immediately that fish came down to water. This example is very, very important. Please understand. We are humans. God has given us a very healthy intelligence. So we do not have to compete with monkeys. Or we do not have to compete with people who have a mind like monkeys. Right? When we go to the inner self, which is the water for us, right? When we go to this inner self, then exactly we find satisfaction of our life. I will end up with another story, once more story, right? You must have heard it, but it really teaches a lot. There was a, sea lion. She was pregnant, but unfortunately, while giving birth to lion, the cub, she left her body. Now this cub was left alone. He was seeing here, he was seeing there, and couldn't find anyone. Meantime, a herd of ships, they were passing by. So when the herd of the ships, they were passing by, they saw this small cub, and the elderly of the ship, she felt little compassionate. So they thought, okay, let us take this, cub with us. And this ship, the herd of ships, they took this cub, with them. And this elderly ship, she started raising this cub. जैसा कि होता है हमारी सराउंडिंग, other ships over a period of time started उसका उन्होंने मजाक उड़ाना शुरू किया. बोला, देख तेरी कैसी मतलब बेकार शक्ल है तेरी, और आवाज कितना गंदा है तुम्हारा, जब भी तुम बोलते हो कितना भारी लगता है, राइट? तो बेचारा ये जो कब था, छोटा कब जो अब बड़ा हो रहा था, इसको अंदर से बड़ी समस्या होती थी जब लोग कमेंट मारते थे। और इसको भी दिखता था कि भाई मेरा शकल ही डिफरेंट बना दिया मेरे मेरे भाइयों से, राइट। एंड ये लायन था, बट कर्व्स के साथ रहते रहते इसकी भी आदत बिल्कुल उनके जैसे रहने की हो गई थी। अब ये घास खाता, उनके साथ पानी पीने जाता, जैसे वो बड़ी पतली आवाज में ऐसे बात करते, ये भी बेचारा उस तरह से ट्राई करता बात करने का। तो इसका परफेक्ट मिसमैच हो रहा था। आवाज तो भगवान ने अलग दी थी, कोशिश कुछ और कर रहा था। एक दिन क्या हो गया, ये ships के herd के साथ this lion was also walking, and then suddenly a hungry lion came there, and when this lion saw कि इतनी खूबसूरत शिप्स यहाँ पे हैं, तो इसने डायरेक्ट अटैक किया। और लायन को देख करके सारे शिप भागने लगे, और उसके साथ साथ ये कब ये भी भागना शुरू कर दिया। इसको देख करके उस लायन को जिसने अटैक किया था, उसको अपनी आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस हो गई। उसने खाना मतलब भूल गया वो खाना, बोला ये अपनी बिरादरी का बंदा, ये भाग क्यों रहा है। तो उसने शिप्स को छोड़ दिया, वो इसके पीछे भागा और उसने इसको पकड़ा। और जैसे ही इस बिगर लायन ने इस छोटे वाले लायन को, जो कब से लायन बन रहा है, उसको पकड़ लिया, तो ये शिप के जैसा उसको स्टार्टेड प्लीडिंग, मुझे मत खाओ। तो बोला मैं खाने आया नहीं, मैं तेरे से बात करने आया। बोला क्या बात करना चाहते हैं आप। बोला तू ये बता कि हमारी बिरादरी का इतनी बेइज्जती क्यों करवा रहे हैं। बोला मैंने क्या किया। बोला तुझे पता है तू कौन है। बोला हाँ, मैं एक छोटा सा शिप हूं। बोला तू छोटा शिप नहीं है रे, तू शेर है, शेर। बोला शेर क्या होता है। बोला शेर क्या होता है। उसको पकड़ करके वो तालाब तक लेकर के आया। लाइन का बिल्कुल वो भेजा खराब हो गया। बोला खाना पीना बाहर, पहले अपनी अपने बिरादरी के लोगों को बचाना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो तालाब तक लेकर के आकर के उसको पंजे से पकड़ के उसका मुंह जो है पानी के नीचे दिखाता है। और जब ये देखता है पानी के नीचे अपनी शक्ल को, और उस लायन की शक्ल को देखता है, तो उसको सही में समझ में आता है कि अरे यार मैं तो शिप नहीं, मैं कुछ और था। और तब ये लायन जो है ना जोर से दहाड़ करके दिखाता है और कहता है तू भी दहाड़। तो वो भी अब ट्राई करता है। पहले बार में क्या होती है उसकी हेल्पलेस डिफीट, नहीं दहाड़ पाता क्योंकि बहुत दिन से दहाड़ना बंद कर दिया था उसने। फिर उसको एक झापड़ मारता है वो लायन, बोलता है दहाड़ नहीं तो खा जाऊंगा तुझे। तो फिर आप फिर से दहाड़ता है। तो इस बार उसकी आवाज मदनपुरी और लता मंगेशकर की जैसे मिक्स करके आती है। मदनपुरी का नाम सुना, अमरीश पुरी का भाई था, तो अमरीश पुरी को ले लो एग्जाम्पल में। तो थोड़ी हैवी आवाज आती है, फिर थोड़ी पतली आ जाती है। तो एक झापड़ बाएं तरफ से मारता है वो लायन उसको। बोला पूर्ण रूप से अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस करके अच्छे धाड़। तो इस बार वो फिर से अच्छे से धाड़ता है। तो इस बार कहां पहुंचता है वो, स्ट्रगलिंग सक्सेस में पहुंच जाता है। बिल्कुल शेर के जैसी, अब बिल्कुल शेर के जैसी आवाज निकालने लगता है। फिर उसको शेर जो कहता है पहचान अपने आप को यार, पहचान। जैसे कृष्ण अर्जुन को कहते हैं ना, अर्जुन पहचान अपने आप को, तू कौन है। और ये सुनकर के अर्जुन क्या कहते हैं, नष्ट मोह स्मृति लब्ध्वा, अब मेरी बुद्धि ठीक हो गई है भगवान, अब आप जो कहोगे अब मैं वो कहूंगा। उसी प्रकार से ये लायन कहता है अब मेरी बुद्धि ठीक हो गई है, देखो इस बार दहाड़ूंगा ना तो तुम बूढ़े शेर हो, तुम भी बैठ जाओगे। और इस बार चौथी बार जब वो दहाड़ता है, तो पूरे जंगल के जो जानवर थे वो डर जाते हैं। एंड दिस स्टेज इज कॉल्ड effortless success. Now, what made this lion who was ignorant of his own self to come to the real self is two things. The one, external person, and second, internal realizations together. Right? So when we are in an ignorant situation, we need some external person who is in knowledge, who forcefully takes us to a reflecting object and show our real face and show us that, see, who are you. Each of us, we should have that person in our life. Now, just having that person won't be sufficient if we, our own self, does not make efforts. This lion made his effort. He was failure, but over a period of time, with a constant endeavor, he continued following that senior lion, and over a period of time, he understood he himself is a lion and he started acting like a lion. My dear friend, this is called Eureka moment. Eureka moment does not happen suddenly in the life. Archimedes did not just found out, that principle of buoyancy just sudden. Schrodinger does not find out the theory of, within a light, that subject just sudden. No, that sudden something clicks. Why? Because on a constant level, that person is making endeavor to segregate all the fault ideas, all the wrong ideas, all the wrong theories, and then by doing this, one day he come to the right point. So if we are not acting on that way, forget about having any eureka moment in our own lives. We have to make constant endeavor. We will have to make serious endeavor. When we think seriously about subject of life, you see, life is a very, very short word, 4 word. But to understand the life, whole life passes away. And still at the end of the life, people say, I never understood life. This is life. Right? So life, in one sense, okay, how to live, how to have relations, these are all things. इसमें ही जीवन खत्म हो जाती है, तो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ को कब समझेंगे? ऑब्जेक्ट को ही समझने में इतना समय लग गया, जैसे मान लीजिए आपने एप्पल की मोबाइल परचेज कर ली, देखने में तो वैसा ही लगता है, 4 कोना वाला रेक्टेंगुलर, बट देन उसकी ऑपरेशनल सिस्टम शायद डिफरेंट होती है। तो उसके ऑपरेशंस को समझने में ही अगर समय लग जाए, तो अप्लाई कब करेंगे एप्लीकेशन, उसकी यूटिलाइजेशन कब करेंगे? उसी प्रकार से अगर पूरा जीवन इस लाइफ ऑब्जेक्ट को समझ में लग जाए, तो उसकी पर्पस को कब समझे? Right? So we also have to start endeavoring towards the purpose of life, which scripture says, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. The purpose of the human life is to understand the Supreme, to understand oneself, and to connect to that Supreme. This is the purpose of the life. And when we understand this purpose of life, then actually we are reaching towards the ultimate success. Generally when you give classes on Zoom or YouTube, basically people just like that if we talk about mind, how to control mind, right? Because mind has a connection with success and all these kind of things. But please understand, it's a very lower level. Mind is just the first step of the subtle body. After that, you have intelligence, then you have false yoga, then atma, so much. And unless until we do not understand the ultimate, no one can control this mind. Right? So for that reason, it's very, very important that we become serious in our endeavor. And whoever is hearing this class today, I gave my message to them that please understand, each of us, we need to find out our eureka moment, but not the eureka moment of the mind, right? Because this is a variable quantity which will keep on changing anyhow in the life, right? Today you will like ice cream, tomorrow you will say chole bhature bahut achhe hote hain, right? So these are the very temporary eureka moment of the life. And that's the reason in first year you like someone else, in the second year you like someone else, third year you like someone else, in the fourth year you like someone else, and passing out you get married with someone else. These are eureka moments. These are the eureka moments of the mind, right? It doesn't solve the problem at all, right? So we have to go one stage higher. That's the intelligence. We have to go further stage higher. That's the soul. But unless until we do not come to that level of soul, we cannot understand what is the subject of our real happiness, right? Because soul's nature is Satchidananda. And only when we understand this, we will understand those objects which makes ourselves very happy. So I just end it here. Thank you very much. We do not want to make extra eureka moments here. So I hope I could, explain the subject to all of you. So if you have any question, if you wish to ask, you can ask now, else we end it here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'm very, very thankful and grateful to each of you. In a very big number, I was not expecting such a huge crowd. In fact, how this topic took birth in my heart is I myself was going through one lecture. I was preparing on something, and their speaker just spoke this Eureka moment word. Something came as an example, and it just clicked to my mind that each of us actually we are struggling, or in fact, we are working hard to find that Eureka moment in our life, right? Whether it's a student of the college, whether you're passed out, whether it's a spiritualist sitting here and hearing Amrish Maharaj Das and Puri Das, and whether I'm giving classes to you, or whether the other people I have seen, or whether the materialist people outside, or whether the scientist, or whether the student, whether the girl, whether the boy, each of us we are finding that particular Eureka moment in our life, because each of us we want to be very happy. Unfortunately, there's a struggle of getting that object because the search itself is wrong, right? Like in programming, in computer programming, you do programming to find out a specific result, isn't it? Those who are from the computer department or else understand programming, you will understand this example very well. That you don't do programming just sitting, okay, मन में जो कुछ आ गया उधर लूप में लिखना शुरू कर दिया, फॉर की जगह वाइल लगा दिया, वाइल की जगह फॉर लगा दिया, कंडीशन में कहीं से कहीं कुछ डाल दिया, आई इज ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू वन, इन्फिनिटी सब मार करके प्रोग्राम लिख रहे हैं प्रोग्रामिंग, राइट? वैसी प्रोग्रामिंग क्या होती है, जब उसमें एग्जीक्यूशन का बटन डालते हैं तो कंप्यूटर ही हैंग होकर बंद हो जाता है। उसी प्रकार से जीवन में अगर सिर्फ डिजायर की प्रोग्रामिंग डालते रहेंगे, डालते रहेंगे, डालते रहेंगे और सक्सेस का बटन मारेंगे, आप ही हैंग होकर बैठ जाएंगे, राइट? So programming we do to find out a perfect result, some efficiency of the result. But if at all some mistake has happened in between the programming, then programming will start programming you, right? So that's the reason it's very important for us that we have a right programming in our life, right? And for that reason, I thought let me share this particular topic to all of you. It's a very, very important topic, and if you understand this, it will really help. Uh, and if you don't understand, certainly you will suffer, right? And each of us we are suffering, and for this end part of this statement, I am again remembering one small joke, and I love to make jokes. So if you have a permission, if I have your permission, I would just end with one small joke. One boy, he was failing repeatedly, so his father became very angry. There's another miracle, we have seen in Indian family that only father becomes angry when boys fail. I don't know why mothers are still cool. So उसके पिताजी बड़े गुस्से में आ गए. Probably हाँ, कारण इसका ये हो सकता है क्योंकि पिताजी का पैसा लगता है ना, तो बच्चे को पढ़ाने के लिए पिताजी को घर के बाहर रहना पड़ता है 8 से 10 घंटे. तो जितने देर तक बच्चा फेल होता रहेगा उतने देर तक पिताजी को बाहर रहना पड़ेगा. So his father became very angry, very, very angry. And he called his son. He said, "Look, अगर तू इस बार भी फेल हो गया ना, तो तू मुझे पापा बोलना ही मत." बेटा सुन करके चला गया. कुछ दिनों के बाद रिजल्ट आया. पिताजी ने बोला, "तुम्हारे रिजल्ट का क्या हाल है, कैसा हुआ रिजल्ट?" बेटा बिल्कुल सूखे हुए मुंह में आ गया और बोलता है, "दिमाग मत खराब करो मदन लाल." पापा परेशान. पापा परेशान. बोला, "दिमाग मत खराब करो मदन लाल, तुमने बाप होने का हक खो दिया है." क्योंकि उसके पिताजी ने बोला था, अगर तुम फेल हो जाओगे तो बाप नहीं बोलोगे मुझे. राइट? उसी प्रकार से मैं यहाँ बोल तो रहा हूँ आपको कि अगर इन 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 सब्जेक्ट्स को अच्छे तरीके से नहीं समझोगे तो समस्याएं होंगी. तो आप भी उधर से बाद में मेरे को ऐसे ही डायलॉग बोल सकते हो, बकवास मत करो दाऊजी के दास, तुमने दाऊजी के दास का हक खो दिया है क्योंकि हम वापिस फेल होकर के आए हैं. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you can raise it here. Yeah, oh, sorry. We have muted them. Yes. So how to again? Yeah. What? म्यूट कैसे हटाना है? क्वेश्चन चला जाएगा.
बॉटम कॉर्नर पे है बटन.
हाँ? Mute. Already unmuted, right? Okay, so any one of you who has question, you can unmute yourself, you can ask. While meantime, we have 3 questions here. This is CCRA 56. Looks like from moon planet or some planet, this question has come to us. This says, when we understand very late, that thing was told to me was right. So what is the question? If you can again ask, or whether you have just given a comment to me. Okay, again, I think the same message has come from CCRA 56. Why we understand very late, that thing was told to me was right. Okay, what I mean to understand, what you are asking is that when we hear right things in our life, why does it take so much time, to understand, it? You look, there's 2 things. One is hearing, and second thing is applying. It's like you have a fever, you go to doctor, and doctor sees you, and after that he gives the prescriptions and the medicines, and you bring the prescription, you fold it very nicely, and you have a silver box, you keep the prescription in the silver box, and then you have an almirah which has got the locker, and you keep those silver boxes in the locker, and then after medicine is given to you, so then you take another golden box and keep the medicine in the golden box, and then you have another locker and you keep that golden box in the another locker. Do you think that you will be free from the fever? Because doctor did not give you prescriptions and medicine to keep in the golden box and in the locker. Doctor gave those medicines and prescription to apply it in your life, right? When you eat those medicines, follow that prescription, then you will be cured from your disease. Similarly, we understand, we hear, messages in our life, but if we do not apply those things in our life, surely we will not see the results of it. And when we will not see the result of it, then again we will fail to revisit those, valuable instructions or suggestions in our life. And when we do not revisit those instructions and suggestions in our life, actually, this becomes kind of an open pipeline system. It comes from one ear, it passes from the second ear, right? That's the reason hearing is one part, and second is contemplation. So when we regularly contemplate on something which we have heard, then those things sinks in our heart, and that is the time when hearing becomes very fruitful. So the answer of this question is that we just hear those things, we do not contemplate on that, we do not try to implement those things in our life, and that's the reason. Even if which you have written that we understand it very late, it means what? The first case of helpless failure, helpless defeat, that we only again remember it when we have already got defeated. So please hear it, contemplate on it, and if something is not clear to you, again revisit your speaker, again ask them, again understand from them that what are the deeper meaning of this particular aspect. And then as much as we understand, see, understanding means realization. What is realization? Realization is knowledge plus culture. What is the culture? Culture means application of that knowledge. So when we hear, we acquire the knowledge, and that knowledge we start practicing in our life in a very natural way. That is called realization. So that time such hearing makes sense in our life. Thank you. There's another question here from Anmol. What inspired you to Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji? Anmol, you inspired me to in Krishna consciousness. When I see many Anmols like you, then I understand the Anmol value of this Krishna consciousness movement, who's which movement is attracting so wonderful boys here. And to be very, very honest, in my own practice of Krishna consciousness, what inspired me is the wonderful philosophy of this movement which Srila Prabhupada has written. I used to have, a lot of questions, and with my senior, we used to debate like anything. Then, I got this book, Srila Prabhupada's book, Science of Self-Realization book, and another book was Elevation to Krishna Consciousness. And when I went through this book, and also one book of Radheshyam Prabhu, Discover Yourself. When I read these books, first time in my life, I found something logical exchange or logical answer of the question. Else, otherwise, uh, earlier we had only seen Durga Saptasati part, or part on Shivji, or Satyanarayan Puja. So a lot of logic was missing there. But here, first time we found logic, and spirituality with logic made a lot of sense. So this was the first step in terms of my own starting in Krishna consciousness. Then I saw the effect of this as Krishna consciousness in my life, where I could save myself from so many dangers of contamination. And then third thing which inspired me further to continue in Krishna consciousness for last 20 years is when I see, when I make little, what do you say, little effect, or little help to other, and I see them blossoming in their life. I see them smiling. I see them successful. Then I feel, that if little sacrifice which I have made at one place can make so many other, happy, why not to continue going ahead in this moment, right? So these are the few thoughts on your question of what made me, or what inspired me in Krishna consciousness. Then here is Shayan. Why did the universe came into existence in the first place? What was the need? Shayan, the need was because you wanted to come in this universe, and when a boy want to get married and want to stay in a separate place, his father purchased a flat for him. So since you wanted to stay separate from Krishna, Krishna had to purchase a separate city flat for you. So he gave a universe, he gave planets. Within the planets, he gave India. Within India, he gave Calcutta. Within Calcutta, he gave one flat where you are staying, Sayan. Thank you very much. Then CCR56 says, thanks, Prabhu. My name is Ankush. Oh, Ankush. So now, Ankush has come down from the moon planet to the earth planet. So he has become Ankush now from CCRA. Thank you. Then we have Anshuman, how we can become effortless success. Anshuman, I think you should again just hear this lecture. I spoke in a very great length on this, that how to become effortless successful person. So just go through this lecture again. Then we have a next question. How to understand that I'm going get defeated and take precautions before that. Yeah, it's very simple. It's like whatever the value systems you are maintaining in your life, when you see the compromise on those value system, it means we are getting defeated. Or let's say, in a very simple language, when we are in cricket match, and we have a target of 300 to make, and we have already come to 290, and we are left only with 10 runs, 6 balls. So you can very easily see that one ball which is passing by, right? So when we are observant to our life, our situation, we can very easily understand that whether we are going towards the success or whether we are getting defeated. So what is the success of the human life is to develop love for Krishna, maintain the very purified, consciousness, maintain very high character. So when we see that there's a compromise in our character, there's a compromise in our consciousness, or our connectivity with the Supreme is breaking, it means we are getting defeated in our purpose of human life. And if it is maintained, it means we are going successful. Thank you, Tushar. Saurav, to everyone, it is necessary that success will be followed after failure only, not at all. Success can continue with the success, but people like us, unless until failure doesn't happen, we do not understand. And for that reason, some kind of failures are always given to us so that we understand that what it requires to be successful. And then we take those steps in our life, and then we move forward. Like when you were solving mathematics in your childhood, I hope you were doing that, Saurabh. So you see there earlier, we have a very simple questions, and then, simple question we solve. But then to, go for the higher education, move to the next stage of the life, if the book only give the same kind of question, then how will you develop your intelligence? So for that reason, another level of mathematics is added immediately, which requires little more skill. So when you start solving that mathematics with the previous knowledge, you make mistake over there, and then immediately you understand, okay, I need to either go for the another formula over here, which applies different condition, right? So basically, these failures are two kind of failures. When purposefully we keep on applying wrong formulas, then we fail, or else, purposefully Lord is arranging certain situation in our life so that we move to the next stage. Thank you, Saurabh. Mayank here, what is the final Eureka moment which we should strive for moving away from the temporary ones? The question itself has the answer. From temporary, please move to the absolute. That is the final Eureka moment in our life, right? What is the absolute? Absolute is Krishna. Absolute is our own self. Considering, understanding that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. So, in a very, very absolute sense, understanding the relationship between the soul and the Krishna, that is the absolute Eureka moment. But in our practical life here right now, understanding that we need to maintain pure mind, we need to maintain strong intelligence, we need to maintain high character. These are the Eureka moments of our life. So we should not strive for unnecessary temporary things. We should move for the higher things which makes the shreyas or longer goals in our life. Like when you study, it's not about one small exam. It's about the purpose of that exam for which you are appearing in the exam, and the purpose of the exam, whatever all of you are studying, is that okay, after finishing this exam, I want to get such kind of career in my life, right? So keeping that as the target, we appear the exams which is there in the first semester itself, right? So unless until we do not see the connectivity of our first step to the final goal, then that will keep on always making us busy with the temporary things only. So understand, connect the final goal with the immediate steps. That is the Eureka moment of our life. Savik here, Prabhu, how to make our surrounding people interested in Krishna consciousness? Very easy, Savik. It's not the iron which attracts the magnet, it's the magnet which attracts the iron, right? So when you become very magnetic, automatically, or when you become very, Krishna conscious, your own self, people around you will surely feel inspired by you and will surely ask, how did you become like this? And they will also become Krishna consciousness. You look, today in our class, we had around 70 youths, and that also on Saturday, and that also in the 6 o'clock evening, right? So some Krishna conscious person, each other, they have affected to each other, and that's the reason they are here. So the very simple method of inspiring other in Krishna consciousness is to practice Krishna consciousness very seriously. If we do not practice Krishna consciousness seriously and we want to preach other, this is not going to happen at all, right? Because preaching does not happen by the words, preaching happen by the action. So if your actions are pure, people will surely feel inspired by it. Thank you. Bani Brata, from the story of the lion and the sheep, what I understood is I am the lion cub and the spiritual master is the big lion. But who are those other ships? Those other ships are the people around us. Those other ships are, as I was giving you the example, that when you talk to a boy, that why do you want to have intoxication? And what do they say? Oh, Prabhu, everyone is doing. So that everyone is ship here, right? When you go in college, you have student friends in the first year. Those are the ships here. When you find many boy, running towards the girl, and you also feel, running towards the girl, those are the ships over there. So there are many ships all around us. Thank you, Vanibrita. Any other question here? One new. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam. How to maintain student life along with bhakti? There's no difference between student life and bhakti. Bhakti is a consciousness, student life is an action point, right? So with proper pure consciousness that we are the servant of Krishna, we should carry forward our student life, because as I was telling in the previous answer up to the previous question, that we need to connect our present state with the final goal. So our student life is our present state, and our final goal is service to God, service to Krishna, and service to God, service to Krishna. This process is called bhakti. So if we get very good result right now, that will be bhakti. If we have very good character right now, that will be bhakti. If we have good people around us, that will be bhakti. And tomorrow, if you become successful and you make other Krishna conscious, serve Krishna, that will be bhakti. So the attainment of the goal starts from here right now. Okay, then we have Ankit here. Can you please tell, as a student, and job life, what main thing should we always keep in mind? Can you please give some priority instructions? I think the entire class was the priority instructions, Ankit. And throughout the class, basically, we were talking on these aspects only. So it is not that during student life or the job life, we will have another subject of spirituality. The subject of spirituality in the nature is absolute, and it remains absolute on every stage of the life, right? Only things can differ is the action point based on the situation of the life, and that we all should always take guidance from the superiors, and under their guidance, we should have the actions, but the goal, but the purpose remains the same. Ourself connecting to the Supreme, pleasing the Supreme, and doing anything and everything only for the purpose of serving the Supreme. Anshuman has asked question privately, so how should I answer, in public, right? So Anshuman, do I have a
So you can
permission to
answer
ask?
publicly.
Huh?
So I'm saying you can answer publicly.
Okay, so Anshuman has asked the question privately, but he has given us permission to answer publicly. So, I, Prabhu, can the ship be the desires of the mind? Yes, the ship could be the desires of the mind, right? The example of the ship is basically goes towards the desire who is making us understand or making us falsely understand what we are not. We are the spirit soul, but the mind keep on forcing us towards this, that we are the body and the body has the senses and the senses need so many objects, right? So I hope this example of ship has really gone quite deeper in all of you, because many people have asked question on ship. Thank you very much for understanding the ship. And then from this ship, let's move to the ship of Krishna consciousness, so that all of us we sail through this material ocean and go to Krishna. Any other question? It's already 7:25, so I would like to close it here.
Yes, Hare Krishna,
And
Pradesh Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Pradesh,
Yogesh,
can I ask some? Yes, Pradesh, can I ask one question, bro?
yeah, please, only those questions which is not yet answered.
Yes, yes.
I hope you have gone through all the questions which I have answered here. So don't ask repeated.
Yeah. As you told, Prabhu, that we should not copy others in our
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
So, means how to differentiate between taking inspiration from the others and copying others? Because most of the time we take the inspiration from seniors and
A very simple thing. You look, when you see a girl, she could be innocent. So you can copy the innocence of the girl, but if you want to become a girl altogether, what will happen? So by having a girl look will not make you innocent at all, isn't it? Right? By practicing that innocence, you will become innocent. Similarly, this particular question has two aspects. One is when we see people who are not devotees, right? And they are quite successful in their life, or people who like certain things, who are using certain things. So we do not have to copy those lifestyle in our life. And second part of this question is that we have devotees, they have certain qualities in them. So those qualities are unique to them, right? So their individual quality will remain integrated with them only, but their consciousness of utilizing that quality to serve Krishna can be copied in our life, right? So the consciousness of service can be copied, and whatever quality Krishna has given to us, we have to serve Krishna with that particular quality. And this is not only true for the devotee, this is true for every individual. Instead of copying others, try to reflecting your own self. Find out what are your strength areas, right? Generally, I hate one speech of motivational speakers, I can tell you. When I hear them saying, you can do it, then my question goes back to them, why did not you do it? Right? So if you tell the fish in the water, you can fly, fish will die. Right? तो उसको ऐसा मोटिवेट करके कोई फायदा नहीं होने वाला है. We can surely say, fish within the water you can jump like anything, but be within the water. But that is your strength area, right? Similarly, each of us, we have to find out our strength area, and within that strength area, you expertise yourself, but keeping the purpose very clear that again, this is for the service of Lord. Does it answer your question, Yogesh?
yes, Pradesh.
Okay. So thank you very much. I won't take any further question now. If you have any question, you can keep it with you. And when we again come back next time with some other Eureka topics, then we will again discuss on those questions. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.